you know, and I just stuck with it. I stuck with it, and I found many benefits of actually doing all this bike riding, especially when being targeted because um, one of the first things I remember about being targeted and then started this job, or I think it was just like one of the first things I realized about being targeted in general was one of the first few augmented people that I walked past. It was like these two blonde haired girls, probably like in their teens or early 20s or something like that. And as I was walking down the street, they were giggling and laughing, and then said, "He has to he, haha, now he can't stop. Now he can't stop walking, or he can't stop moving, or he has to keep moving, or something like that." And that's not the first time I heard that kind of uttered next to me. That's like maybe like the third or fourth time. That's like literally within like the first, what was it? Had to be like maybe November or December that I heard this. So I'm just like, man, I'm not sure what that meant. But as I started doing this job, I realized exactly what that meant, because if they're basically bombarding the body with energy, if they're bombarding the body with energy, that means your body is storing the energy. So what do you got to do when you have all this stored energy? You got to use it. You got to move. You got to keep going. That's one of the reasons why I realized I probably became one of the fastest one delivery people on one of these bikes, is because, well, I realized that yeah, like I literally had to just become, I took this as more than just exercise, but it's like almost like therapeutic, because every time that I'm exhaling, like my on my exhale breath, every time I exhale, I feel. I've heard the handler say a few times, "Oh, he's letting go of frequencies," or something like that. And I've even had that mentioned a couple of times, where if I decided I was gonna, like, let's say I was gonna smoke something, right? If I was gonna smoke a cigarette, and then by the time I light it and I take the first puff is fine. Then all of a sudden, when I try to take the second one, it's as if like it's burning 10 times harder. And then if I'm holding it like this and I move the cigarette and I like wave the cigarette up and down or whatever, it feels like there's something clipped to the other end, the lit end of the cigarette. And every time I move it, it feels like something is like trying to control the tip of the lit end of the cigarette. Like there's added weight, or like something is clamped to it and it doesn't want to move, and it like I'm not being able to move it as freely as I want to. Then I also noticed that like when it's burning, it doesn't burn like normal. Like usually when you would notice, like when something burning, whether it's a cigarette or it's it could be a joint, or it could be a cigar. There's a particular way that it burns, and it usually burns at a certain speed. No matter if no matter what type of paper you're using or whatever, there's a particular way that it burns. And then the color of the ash is even different. But I'm just going into a whole bunch of details that don't necessarily matter. But I'm just basically trying to maintain my peace through it all, because I kept telling myself that no matter what, even when I was feeling, a bit lonely and whatnot, when my targeting first started, I always kind of had in my mind, I was like, I don't think I could probably be with someone who hasn't been targeted or known of their targeting for quite some time, because there's a particular mindset that someone who's already being targeted has. And it's not like a crippling or victimized mindset, but it's it's like they know of certain things to be aware of, and they like especially some mentally and spiritually strong people, they already know and have like ways that they can maintain themselves. Why? Because they know at the end of the day, only they are experiencing what they're feeling at that moment in time. So it's like they have to learn how to do all these things. And then also just knowing that you have a source that is not of this world for you to actually gain your power and strength from, so that you can get through the day-by-day stresses of being like, you know, harassed, whether it's physically or psychologically or electronically, you know. Yeah. So, I don't know. She was talking about being friends with benefits, and I was just like, yeah, this is round 2. I don't even know. And so, and then like in my mind, I remember before my targeting, before I had got my first apartment and everything, you know, there was this whole thing where it was like, oh, you know, whatchamacallit, I've had someone say, oh, they don't think I'm like assertive enough, or they don't think I have any goals and stuff like that. But here's the thing, everything that I ever wanted to do, it wasn't even necessarily a goal I had set. It was just literally like, there's this thing that I want to do, and I'm gonna just do it. I don't think about it as a goal. I think about it as something I just want to accomplish. And I think, you know, think about it in terms of like a goal. I don't know. I felt like that made it just too, I don't know. I guess you could say that like when I think about certain things and like the number of things I gotta do, I try not to think about it like that, because I guess it makes me anxious. I just do it. I don't know, like, I've always been like that. Like, you know, when I decided I was going to become a personal trainer, I just did it. When I decided I was going to become a bartender, I just did it. When I decided I was going to become a cook, I just did it. When I decided I was going to, you know, write a short story and actually publish it, I did it. When I decided I was going to write a poem and get it published, I did it. It wasn't something that I just basically just like, oh, I got these goals that I want to achieve, you know, and I'm gonna just, you know, write out all the steps that I need to do in order to achieve this goal. No, because for whatever reason, I felt like that's just going to intimidate me for whatever reason, because I don't know, I feel like if I see all the details or whatever of everything that I want to do, then I'm just like, that might intimidate me. So what I do is I do, and then as I'm doing it, I'm learning about it at the same time. I've probably already done a decent amount of research on other people's experiences trying to achieve or accomplish the same thing that I'm doing. I don't know. Like, I believe I've always been successful in my own right. I've never been, you know, in any trouble with nobody really. I've never really owed like large amounts of debt. I mean, other than student loans, you know. I don't know. Like I never bit off more than I can chew, you know. And it's funny because in this at work, they just started putting up these like little motivation posters or whatever, and quotes, and one of them has Muhammad Ali on it, and it says, if your dreams don't scare you, then your dreams aren't big enough, or something like along that line. And you know, I had that. I had that as a, you know, that I can definitely understand because I remember before, COVID and everything, I wanted to actually like open my own bar one day. It'll probably be a speakeasy, something like that. I wanted to have my own bar. But then once COVID happened, I saw what can happen to the restaurant industry. I mean, granted, a lot of places did survive, and then a lot of places did not survive. But those who survived, they basically had their regulars. They also had like, they had their regulars, but they also learned how to adjust. They learned how to change and adapt certain things that they were doing. So like, like you see that that shed. Well, it's kind of, is it? I don't know what you would call it, but that thing, they built that over the whole quarantine period because it was more like people couldn't really eat inside, or they could only have a certain max number of people to eat inside, so you had to eat outside. That is something that I probably could have seen myself doing. But anyway, yeah, I'm basically just trying to now I'm basically trying to readjust everything that I thought about what my purpose could be in this world. And now I'm actually focusing on what is my purpose. And there's so much about this synthetic energy stuff that it drew me closer to learning about like spiritual energy and it just had me really looking and learning about different things that are actually considered necessities. And like I remember there was a time where I used to think to myself, I was like, yo, I don't go outside the city enough. Like I don't remember the last time I ever went fishing and stuff like that. And I think to myself, I don't like, I mean, I get it. I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I'm used to the city, but I've also lived some time in rural areas. Like I've like I know how to handle a gun, whether it's a pistol or a shotgun or a rifle. Do I know how to build a tent from scratch? I've never done it, but I've definitely watched some videos, on YouTube and whatnot. There's certain things that like you may not actually get a chance to use it, but be just out of general interest or curiosity, you may have like looked this stuff up and learned how to do it, even though you haven't actually been able to use it. And then that the part that gets me is she's like, oh, like I feel like I'm not learning anything from you, like you don't seem like a survivalist or something like that. And I tried not to really take offense to that because I was like, you don't even cook. So and I was just trying my best not to take it personal because I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, you're talking to me about survivalism, but you don't even cook when you need to cook. But I'm just like, all right. But that's just one thing. But I'm not coming on here to like, talk bad about her or nothing like that. But I'm just thinking to myself, I put forth a lot of energy, attention, time into trying to at least be a lesser stress in her life, and then to eventually just be told, I'm not demanding enough, or I'm not masculine enough. I don't know, I don't have enough testosterone. I'm not out here, I guess, learning how to, do martial arts or box, or I'm not out here working out. I don't know. I tell you the truth. Tell you the truth. There's such a blurred line when you really think about what is it to truly be a man, or what is it to truly be a woman. Because a lot of times, every time I think about the term alpha or masculine, there's always some negative energy around it, because of probably one person wanting to prove how much more of an alpha or masculine than they are of the other. So that's why I don't focus on being one particular thing. She's like, well, I don't want someone that's going to try to control me. And I'm like, I think about every woman, every guy that she's ever really, told me about. They all have a similar type to them, right? They all have a similar type to them. They all have a similar aggression to them. And then the thing about it, I realized, I was just like, I am no one's Superman. I am not a superhero, and I am not put on this world to save people from themselves when I think about it. I'm here to help you see yourself better and to help you overcome anything that you may be using that's self-defeating. That's what I believe my purpose is, at least for now, is helping others learn how to overcome the things that could be debilitating them from becoming their best selves. And your best self doesn't always have to be something career-wise, or it doesn't have to be something, tailored to, or it doesn't have to be something tailored to, material gains. Because you know what? And I always love to use this for an example. Do you know how many people in this world right now that are making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, but they do not have a foundation? They do not have a place to stand on. All they have is everything that they have acquired by something they paid for, or something, or it's something, but they don't have no real foundation under them. If something happens to them, or happens to everything that they hold to such high regard, all those things that they acquired, if something happens to them, what usually happens to people that basically amass all this stuff, and then when they lose all that stuff, what usually happens to them? What usually happens to them? Oh, there she go now. I was waiting for her. She wanna go and talk somewhere. Then I guess do a final shell out or something like that. But anyway, what usually happens to them? They lose their fucking mind. They lose their mind, and then on top of that, when you think about it, most of these people, they never have enough. All of these alpha types, these super masculine types, they never seem to have enough. Well, you know what? I can't say all masculine people are like that, because there's some that don't necessarily care to become, like wealthy or acquire a lot of things, but they are masculine. They're manly men. Like they do construction stuff, or they know how to do, they do certain things out in this world. But all I'm saying is, I am not lowering my frequency, or I'm not going to allow myself to feel the emotion of guilt, shame, what's another one? I'm not going to allow myself to feel depleted or lacking in any way, because, well, that's what the handlers are looking for. They're looking for me to set on one of those low vibrational emotions, and then once my frequency matches that low vibrational emotion, they're going to try to lock me into that space. So why I always say you have to be a master protecting your peace, because the moment you let up, the moment you slip up and you allow something to lower your frequency, they're watching you all the time. They're watching your brain activity all the time. They're waiting for you to slip up just so that they can be like, look, right there. Tune to that and hold it there. I want to see if he can break out of that one. Now, my harassment has been increasing tremendously, and that's only because I feel like I've been getting stronger and stronger. Especially the more I lean on God, I feel like the better I become. And I cannot take God out of my life. Nope. I don't care what anyone says. And I tell people all the time, I'm not a traditional Christian. I don't even think I could call myself a Christian in general. But I do believe in the teaching. I do believe in the teachings and the wisdom that is bestowed upon us from reading the Bible. So I'm just like, yeah, I believe in everything that I can learn from it. Do I believe that Jesus Christ died on the cross for our sins and was resurrected? I actually believe that. I do believe that. Why? Because one, it takes very specific types of people to be willing to sacrifice their own life for the greater good of others. And then I also believe in the resurrection, because I have come onto even more information after my targeting started that basically lets me know that we are more than just our flesh and bone bodies, but we are actual energy beings. We are energy beings. When all these scientists and whatnot, they try to focus mostly on theories of reasoning and you got to be able to think a certain way in order to survive and blah blah blah. I'm like, man, scratch all that, because I know one thing for certain: if you become someone who is mostly focused on everything being placed on your mind, eventually you're going to collapse on yourself. You can't go through this world just always trying to take on everything on your own. Why? Because we're not meant to take on so much of the things that's happening to us, especially if we try to do it all on our own. And to be honest, I think that's the whole purpose of why they're trying to make this world into a more technological, slave camp, really, or loose farm, if you know about that. So, I don't know. Anyway, let me go and get this talk over with. Such a good way to end the New Year's, right? All right. I'll keep y'all posted on my whereabouts. Just know I'm still here, and I am still vibrant, and I'm still fighting. Take life one breath, one thought, one step, one day at a time. Peace.